All right, going live again, this time with some pretty different content than what I normally stream about. Usually I'm talking about data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all that nice engineering stuff. But I have another growing passion in my life over the last 5 years, which is ballet. So if you've tuned into previous episodes or live streams where I've talked about data, this might come as a little bit of a surprise to you, unless you've listened to all of them, in which case I have brought up Deos contemporary ballet before. But for those of you who are not aware, my wife and I, we own Deos Contemporary Ballet, which is a professional ballet in West Michigan. Yeah, we've been operating it for a couple of years, and we have a brand new show coming out that I wanted to make sure everybody got the chance to hear about because this is what Tess probably describes as some of her best work that she's made so far. So I'm going to bring up a little bit of, nope, that's too small. A little content onto the screen, and while I get things set up, I am taking questions and comments live, so you can post or you can comment on the post that you're watching this on, or if you want, I'm going to put a link in each of the platforms that I'm streaming on, which is Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and you can actually join the show if you want. It works best with Chrome, and I promise you it's only intimidating until you hop onto the show. So feel free to send in some comments, questions, and if you feel so daring, I'll actually pull you right onto the live stream as well. So I'm going to just take a quick moment here to put those links on each of these platforms, and then we'll get going into what is this show Trifles and why, if you're in the Grand Rapids area, Grand Rapids, Michigan area, why you might want to come see this show. So let's see here. All right. Yes, so first off, before I jump into what Trifles is, let me give you a very brief background on Deos Contemporary Ballet. As I mentioned before, my wife and I, we started this professional ballet company. And if you're in the Grand Rapids area, you might ask yourself, wait, I thought there was only one professional ballet company in Michigan. And that is actually not true. We exist and have existed since 2018. So what's different about us, though, is we operate under a different business model because I think our goals are different than some of what a traditional ballet company might have. So what we do essentially is we've started as a summer only professional company. So what that means is normally when all other ballet companies are laying off their dancers for the summer months, we perform during the summer months so we can hire those laid off dancers who are acting as freelance dancers at the time and put on shows when there typically aren't ballet performances. So it's kind of a win-win all around. We get some of the best talent from across the US. We get to bring that here to West Michigan to create original ballet when there's typically not shows of ballet going on in West Michigan. And of course, the dancers get the opportunity to dance and, of course, make some extra money because all of our dancer contracts are paid, which, interestingly enough, is not always true in the ballet industry. That's one of the things that blew my mind when I first started to look into what the ballet industry was as Tess and I were starting to form this company. And one thing that's really important for us at Deos is to first support our dancers, the artists that are actually creating these works that people enjoy, because by supporting the artists, you end up getting the best art. And then the audience will have the greatest art to look at and enjoy and observe, and hopefully that translates into revenue, which then helps us to better support the artists. So that's how we operate as Deos. We have in the past only been in the summer months, but with this new show, Trifles, we are starting our expansion into becoming a full year-round professional ballet company. So as I mentioned before, other professional ballet companies typically have a sort of 9-month season where they take off the summer and lay off all the dancers. We have aspirations for being a year-round, pretty much every single month out of the year, providing opportunities for more dancers to perform and create with us. So that's a little bit about Deos. We're excited to be leveraging a lot of the really great ballet training that happens in West Michigan and provide more opportunities when there currently are few performing opportunities at a professional level in West Michigan. So we're really proud to be helping to fill that gap. So what is this show, Trifles? Trifles is I had not heard of Trifles before Tess brought the show idea to our meetings. It's actually an adaptation of a 1916 play by Susan Glaspell. This play originally is essentially about a woman who her home is essentially being investigated by 3 male characters that are trying to figure out how her husband died. And along with these 3 male characters are 2 female characters, they're spouses of these men, that are going through what are termed the women things, right? Like going through the kitchen. Now, this is a 1916 thing, and they're intentionally showing the separation of the sexes. And one of the lines from the play is, well, women are only concerned with trifles, which is where it gets its name. And what's really interesting is the women, as they're going through the things in the house, that the men are sort of just throwing over the shoulder and saying, that's not important, are actually all of the clues that show what the home life was between the female character and her husband, who was killed. And you find out over time who that murder is and how that all happened, and what may have led to that murder. So I'm not going to go too much into the particulars because that's part of the murder mystery of it. So it's a very interesting show that was originally a play from 1916. It was made into a book, and now we're making it into a ballet. And Tess is doing all original choreography for it. And it's been very interesting seeing her make this show. We're currently setting it. That's one of the reasons why she hasn't joined me today on this live stream, because she's currently running rehearsals for it. It's been really interesting doing this show in the context of COVID, because with COVID, you can't have live events, at least for a long time. And that's been so detrimental to the ballet industry, which just thrives and actually survives only on there being live events. And we have this opportunity with Trifles, since it's a very small cast and we're getting a large theater, which I should mention, this is going to be performed at Calvin University in their Gazan Auditorium. So all of that information, you can probably see the ticker rolling at the bottom. If you're not wanting to listen to me anymore and just get to the details, it's all right there on the website, triflesballet.com. But yes, it's been very interesting seeing this ballet come together in the context of COVID. So we have 3 male actors, and 3 female dancers that are rehearsing separately. We have a large auditorium that we're going to be selling very few tickets to the actual each showing of it, and the audience members will be placed into pods of up to 4 people, and those pods are going to be socially distanced. We're going to have staged arrival times. Masks are required, sanitization stations placed throughout the area. So this is going to be a very COVID conscious event. So that also makes this what we believe is the first ballet performance, at least in West Michigan, that's happening in this sort of, I don't want to say post-COVID because of course we're still in it, but this is one of the first opportunities that I think people are going to have to see ballet live on stage in the West Michigan area. And let me tell you, sitting in these rehearsals has been so fun because I've seen Tessa's choreography for years now, and something about this show is just clicking. You can see the passion and the energy that the dancers are bringing to the very, very I don't know, very interesting and powerful choreography that Tess has put together for this. This is a very like emotional sort of show, and the dancers that we have are just bringing that to the table in such a very, very interesting way. So, yes, let's see here. Let me show you a little bit about what the website looks like in case you are interested in seeing the show. So this is going to happen at the end of February. So February 27 is a Saturday, and we have a 1 p.m. show and an 8 p.m. show. It's going to be at the Gazan Auditorium at Calvin University. And there are very, very few tickets available. So I don't know exactly how many that auditorium normally seats, but we only have 45 tickets to each show that we're running. So normally when we offer a show, we usually have probably around 250 to 300 seats that people are able to take their time and buy tickets at their leisure, when they want to finally decide that, okay, yes, I am going to go to the show. But we only have 45 tickets for each of these shows, and we've already started selling them for the last couple of days here, and orders are coming in, and the informal conversations we're having with everybody, there's some pretty large groups that are wanting to come. So if you're at all interested in coming to the show, I would not wait very long to get tickets because, again, there's not very many of them, and we only have 2 shows, and our audiences are normally larger than the number of seats we have. So it's not something to wait for if you're interested in seeing this. So again, the show name is Trifles. We are selling tickets at $55 each, and one of the things that I wish we could do better with this is that it's so challenging to sell tickets to a live show in the context of COVID and all the precautions that we're taking. So if you are interested in buying tickets to this show, we are running through a process where you have to go through an order form. So right here, if you type in your email address and click that button, send order form, you're going to right away get an email that gives you a Google form to fill out some information. So I really should pull that Google form up so you can see it in advance. So while I do that, I'm going to start describing it a little bit. And then, yes. So one of the reasons why we needed to do a form for the show is because we need enough contact information to be able to schedule an arrival time. So that way not everybody's showing up at the same time, because we're not selling tickets on site. So you must buy tickets in advance, which is another reason why I wouldn't wait. So we need to have enough contact information to be able to schedule an arrival time with you. And a lot of times people will come to a show not just by themselves. A lot of people do come by themselves, but there's often groups of more than 4 people coming to a show. And if you recall what I was mentioning earlier, we are having pods of up to 4 people in the audience, with the pods being spaced out. So if you bought 6 tickets, we would need to know how you would prefer to split up those tickets amongst the pods. So what I would have loved to do is have a very well integrated payment system here where you could put in all that information and make that as easy as possible. But with the limitations of our technology in getting this together, we've had to opt for this Google form. So let me see if I can drag that onto the display here so you can see what that form looks like, so you know it's not a super intimidating form. Email address, how many tickets you want to one of the shows, how you want to split up those pods. Here's the other show, 8 p.m. Again, pods, and then the venue, Calvin University, the Gazan Auditorium, is requiring that people do agree to this statement that they will be wearing a mask at all times, socially distanced. If you've got COVID symptoms, that you will not come. All types of things I think you should be able to expect by now. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward form, but it does make the purchasing process a little less frictionless, which is somewhat unfortunate, but such are the times that we live in. So yes, if you have joined the live stream later and you haven't heard anything about Trifles, I'm not going to go into a really long description. I'm pretty sure on all these platforms you can go back to the beginning and sort of listen through. But if I were to give it a really short synopsis here, this is a ballet from a 1916 play, originally by Susan Glaspell, about a murder mystery. And I am so excited for the show because I've been able to watch the rehearsals that are going on right now, and this is some of Tessa's best work. Tess and I, we started this company, Deos Contemporary Ballet, to provide more performance opportunities for people to see and dancers to perform in the West Michigan area. So if this is something that interests you, like I mentioned before, we only have 45 tickets available for each show, and we usually have many more people than that coming to each of our shows. So I would not wait very long to get these tickets if you are at all interested in coming to one of the first ballet performances happening in West Michigan since we've been able to start having live performances in West Michigan. So yes, let me show you again this website here. This is triflesballet.com. I'm going to bring that up on a banner in case you want to know how to spell trifles, because I always mess that up. You've got a short description about this show, and pretty soon here, we just spent this past weekend recording a promotional video for it. So we've got a bunch of text here that you can read, and maybe a good amount of this in the next week or so is going to be replaced with a pretty sweet promotional video that goes through in a much more engaging way what this show is about. So again, this is triflesballet.com. We've got all the information here about where this performance is taking place and your 2 options for coming to shows. And I just had gone through a description up here about how we do ordering because of COVID. We just need your email address. We'll send you a form. Once you fill out the form, we'll send you a quick invoice that you can pay via credit card and or check or however you want. And then off to the races we go. So let me tell you a little bit about the artists that we have. One of the things that I love about the show Trifles is it's a show about some of the struggles that women face in life, particularly as it pertains to their relationship with men, and mostly looking at historically with the 1916 sort of context of there being not very many rights for women. But a lot of those themes in the original play do still ring true today. And so it ends up being a really interesting show from that regard. But most of the people involved with creating this show are also women, which it's somewhat typical for a ballet company to be primarily composed of female dancers. But Tess Sinke, my wife, is the choreographer for all the original choreography for the show. And it is very atypical in the ballet industry for a young women choreographer to be able to have opportunities to set their own choreography in a way that is more than just posting your own stuff on YouTube, right? So like actually setting it on professional dancers who are getting paid to do the show and having it put in front of a live audience. Usually, if you look across the board, and this has been improving over the last few years, but the most choreographers in the ballet world are male and have had a long dance career. So my wife Tess, she originally was planning to be a professional dancer, but some health conditions ended up cutting her professional dance career short. Fortunately, her passion was always in choreography, and when we first started dating, I learned of her long-term passion for wanting to create her own professional company. And so she's been able to dive into choreography much sooner than a person without a long professional dancing career, and much sooner than women are often able to jump into choreography. So we've got this fantastic show that has a lot of really great feminist content with some fantastic female not only dancers but choreographer, and then Tess's dramaturge, the person who understands the play very well and the props and all that sort of the acting side of it, and can help adapt all of those things into Tess's vision for the choreography. So the choreographer and Kathleen Lewis here, her dramaturge, work together very, very directly on making this a ballet that is true to the play and presents itself well, because much like other ballets, the dancers do not have speaking roles, so they need to communicate everything that they're trying to say on stage through motion. Whereas we will have soon here the 3 male actors included. They are not going to dance, they're only going to speak. So there's this really interesting thing that happens in Trifles that it's really interesting to me, because COVID could have been this thing that limits the possible sort of impact that this ballet could have. But instead, COVID, with all of its constraints, has made this, I think, a more interesting ballet, because it's forced Tess and Kathleen to think outside the box on how to do these to present these relationships between the men and the women. And so that's where this idea of, well, we have to rehearse them separately. Why don't we make the men actors? Because one of the points of this whole play and ballet is that the men kind of take over with their voice, whereas the women, who are dancers, are silent the whole time, but they still have all this communication and they have all these things going on. So there's this very wide distinction between the sexes on the stage that, had we not been thinking about how to put this ballet together in the context of COVID, that sort of split between the sexes maybe wouldn't have come about as readily. So yeah, it's a very interesting a very interesting show. One thing that I totally forgot to mention that you can now see on the screen here is that we are still looking for some corporate sponsorships. We've got dancer sponsorships, we've got actor sponsorships, there's venue, there's all kinds of different ways that if your business or you as a person, I guess, really love what we're doing here and want to get involved and help contribute to this to make this, to help us bring ballet back on stage in West Michigan, you can just pop your email address right in here and we'll send you all of the information. And of course, we have COVID safety protocols. I described these before, so if you're at all apprehensive about coming to a live show, have no fear. Because we are taking every sort of precaution that we can think of. So we've got staggered arrival times. We're seating audience members in pods of up to 4. We're spacing those pods out throughout the large theater. The theater can seat so many more people than just 45, but we are limiting the number of tickets to 45 so that way we can keep all this separation and spacing out. And of course, masks will be required, and we've got sanitization stations. So this is going to be a very, very safe performance to come see, and it's going to be an incredible performance. So this is again put on by Deos Contemporary Ballet, the ballet company that my wife and I started. If you are interested in learning more about what Deos Contemporary Ballet does, we have a website that we are updating currently, but there's still plenty of good information on it. Right now, it looks like this. If you were to click this buy tickets link, because we're back on stage, ooh, that's fun, how that went into fast mode for some reason. Our dancers don't move that fast. But if you were to click this button, get tickets, I'll just do it, you'll end up at the website we were at, Trifles. And yeah, you can learn more about what Deos does on this website. You can see some photos of our previous shows. We got plenty of other pictures that show the wonderful dancers that we have. But this live stream is mostly about our upcoming show, Trifles, which is being presented February 27 in West Michigan, specifically Grand Rapids, Michigan, on Calvin University's campus at their Gazan Auditorium. And I feel like I've said this probably a bunch, but you can find all the information about this show at triflesballet.com. And yes, if there are any questions out there about the show or any comments, I do have the ability to see the comments that you put on posts, so I'm able to take those sort of questions live. I'm guessing that nobody is brave enough to jump on a live stream with me, but if you look at the post that you're seeing this live stream on, you'll see that I included a link that if you feel like jumping onto a live stream and having a conversation with me about Deos or Trifles or why a guy who loves talking about data day in and day out is now talking about ballet, I'd be more than happy to take any questions or comments. I've been running this live stream for about a half hour now, so I probably will not take it much longer. I will probably go over just a brief overview of a couple more things to give a last minute chance for anybody who wants to ask any questions or submit any comments. Otherwise, that's where we'll leave it. So again, Deos Contemporary Ballet is a professional ballet company in West Michigan. There is, in fact, more than one professional ballet in Michigan. It's us, and we've been around since 2018. And my wife and I started this company in 2018 to provide more professional performance opportunities for dancers in West Michigan. Tess has fantastic choreography. There's a fantastic art community who wants to see more ballet in West Michigan, and we started filling that need in 2018 by providing summer shows through Deos Contemporary Ballet when the rest of the ballet industry typically shuts down and lays off all of their dancers. So that ends up being a really great opportunity for us in that we have access to professional dancers from all across the United States. In previous years, I think our last show, Collide, in 2019 during the summer, I think we had either 10 or 11 different states represented by our dancers, that we brought all of this talent that's been spread out across the nation from laid off dancers and brought them to West Michigan for some really, really incredible shows. And that helps out the dancers because, of course, they've been laid off and looking to replace some income. So all of our dancer positions are paid, which is not always the case in the ballet industry, which is very interesting, to say the least. But all of ours are paid. And then, of course, so we've always performed in the summer, but Trifles, as you see on the screen here, is not in the summer. It's at the end of February. So, this is 26 days away as of the time of streaming. And this is our first show out of our normal summer season, and we are starting to expand our offering to become a full year-round company. So not just the typical 9-month season that a traditional ballet company has, but a full 12-month season. Well, not season, 12-month year-round seasons going throughout. So we're really excited about the growth that we've seen the last couple years. It's been an inspiring journey to go from my engineering day job of crunching numbers and doing mathematical things to hang out with incredible artists from across the nation, making performances that aren't just like... So I actually forgot to mention this earlier in the stream. And thanks, Tim Peppenbrink, for your comment about the Three Rivers Chamber of Commerce. Yes, I will definitely reach out to him, and thank you for sending me a referral there, Tim. And like you see here, if you have any comments, I will happily take them live and answer any questions or comments. There is a delay between when you send it and when I see it, so... don't get mad at me if it takes me a little bit to get to it. But I have now lost my train of thought of what I was just about to get into. And that's probably okay, because if I lost my train of thought, maybe it wasn't all that important. So, yes, we're building this out into a full year-round company, and we're very excited about the growth that we've seen. We are continuing to... Oh, I remember where I was. I was talking about being a data person and getting to hang out with just incredible artists from across the United States. And so why am I passionate about that? I'll tell you, I've spent too much time probably looking at math equations and logical things. And what I didn't realize is when I targeted all of my education towards the STEM fields, I hardly had to write papers. I didn't have to look through art and those other sort of very valuable parts to education. And yes, now that I've been sort of immersed in this world of not only just artistry, but ballet dancers are athletes to, I would say, the highest degree. I said I have 0 ballet training, and that is true. But I've also taken a couple of adult ballet classes, and let me tell you, all I was doing was moving my arms a little bit and pointing my feet a little bit and raising up on releve, they called it, and all these other things, and I was beat by the end of a 40-minute class. And then you watch these professional ballet dancers do things like lifting each other up above their heads, which we aren't doing in this show because COVID, but doing all these lifts and just the the spins and being able to have such fine control over the position of your body and the intensity. This show is got a lot of intensity to it, and I've been fortunate to come up on the practice of recording video. So not just live streaming like this, but I've been practicing using this camera to record dance for film. And let me tell you, it's seeing a ballet performance live is unparalleled. I mean, it's always best to see a show live. I think it's a close second to see not this camera way back in the audience where you see the whole stage, sort of distant view of the ballet, but we're getting up close with these cameras, and you get to see the intensity that these dancers have when they're performing, because it's not just control over their body positioning, they're also conveying emotion with their face, and there's all of these different like there's so many instances in which a ballet dancer, something unexpected happens on stage, and they have to, just like an actor, make that look natural. But unlike an actor, it's not just finding lines or taking up just space on a stage to kind of fill in whatever's going awry. The dancers have choreography that they have to in real time fix in their head, because that's one of the cool things about live shows, is that it never goes exactly as planned. And so we've got phenomenal professional ballet dancers from across the United States who come to work with Deos in West Michigan when they're typically laid off in the summer. But Trifles is our first show out of our regular summer season, as we are taking our growth that we actually had during the COVID time. We're taking that growth and we're expanding our company to be full year round, not just 9 months out of the year like a normal or traditional professional ballet company. So yes, I'm going to close this live stream out. Thank you all for tuning in and finding out about what I'm up to other than data, machine learning, and AI. If this is a show that interests you, a murder mystery show set in 1916 based on Susan Glaspell's play of the same name, Trifles, you can go, and there's a little ticker thing running across the bottom where you can get tickets. It's triflesballet.com. There's very limited seating because this is a very safe performance. We're very COVID conscious with this performance, with staged arrival times, distance pods. By pods, I mean the audience will be seated together in at most 4 people in a pod, and the pods will be spaced out. We've got masks required, sanitization stations, so it's a very safe performance to go to, beyond being an incredible performance to come see. But that means we can't sell very many tickets if we space them out. And so with there only being 45 tickets per show, there's 2 shows. I'll pull up the website now. There are 2 shows, 1 p.m. Saturday, February 27, and 8 p.m. Saturday as well. And this is at the Gazan Auditorium at Calvin University here in West Michigan, Grand Rapids. Tickets are $55, and there are not very many of them because we have to space the audience out in the theater. So we have only 45 tickets available for each of the 2 shows. And so doing the math, that's up to 90 tickets. And if you've come to any of our other shows, you know there are definitely more than 90 people in our previous audiences. So if this is something that you are interested in coming and see, a murder mystery ballet based on Susan Glaspell's 1916 play, don't wait because we are also not selling tickets at the door. You can't show up to one of these shows expecting to buy a ticket at the door. You must buy it in advance, because that's how we have the opportunity to make this a safe performance for everyone. So if you're interested in going and getting a ticket, because there's not very many of them, go to triflesballet.com, as you see here, and you'll need to type in your email address because we have to send you an order form. I wish it were easier. We've racked our brain to try to figure out how to make this easier for you to be able to buy a ticket, and this is the best we can come up with. So if you have a better idea, please let us know. But we'll send you an order form which asks you how many tickets, how you want to split them up into pods, and then you have to sign an agreement that you'll wear a mask and socially distance and all the stuff that you should expect in the context of COVID. And then when we receive that form, we'll send you an invoice that you can pay via credit card or cash or check or, well, probably not cash, but credit card or check or probably PayPal. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. And then, yes, so the whole reason why we need to do it this way is because we need good contact info from you and so we can clarify how you want to split your tickets up between the pods of at most 4, because a number of people show up with more than 4 people in their group. And we need to be able to schedule an arrival time for you, because we're not going to have everybody just show up at once, because that makes it really difficult for everybody to socially distance. So we're going to schedule an arrival time with you so that way we can stage that out so people are able to be nicely spaced and be able to stay safe amidst a COVID pandemic and be able to see a live show. So yes, we are super excited about this show. Tess says it's some of her best choreography that she's put out. It's just a really engaging story about a woman who may or may not have killed her husband, and the men who are investigating it, and the women who are helping to pick up things around the house, who are also ending up investigating it and finding clues as to what may or may not have happened. And that sort of difference between how the men and the women are approaching this is the whole point of the story. And it is very, very tension-filled. There's a lot of emotion. It's just going to be a fantastic show. So yes, don't wait. 45 tickets only available for each of the 2 shows. And our audiences are normally much larger than that. So please, if you're interested, don't wait, because you might miss out. And with that, thank you very much, and I hope to see you at the show. Take care.